We have the best and worst of beauty in 2024. I'm so excited to share with you guys my list of the worst beauty and the best beauty of 2024. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. We're talking about best and worst of beauty in 2024. I wanted to round off my 2024 wrap up with the best and worst of beauty, give you guys my 411 on what was really bad in 2024 and what was really good that stuck out to me in 2024. If you guys are new here, my name is Staci. I feature unfiltered makeup opinions, honest reviews. I have tutorials, and I also have the Unfiltered series. So definitely go check out that series after this video. It's everything unfiltered. It's commentary. It's a really good series. So let's get into, first off, the worst of beauty from 2024. We're going to start off with a mascara. And I actually put this in as how I put this in my document that I had to write down my notes and everything like that. So if you see me looking down, that's why. I started it with stuff that was okay, but it really did stick out to me as being really good. And then it kind of filters down into the worst product that I tried in 2024. Where do I begin with this mascara? So I tried this in a full face of Catrice makeup. I wanted to know what was going on with the brand. So they used to be in Ulta. They pulled out of Ulta, I want to say at least a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now. And they're sold explicitly on Amazon.com and also on their website. So you can't purchase their product directly from Ulta Beauty anymore. And I'm a huge Ulta fan. I love Ulta Beauty. So I did a full face and I tried this mascara right here from Catrice. This is the Pure False Lash Beyond Black mascara. And in that video, I was it's okay. So it does have a curved wand. I honestly thought that when I purchased this, it would be really similar to the Tarte 28 Make Waves mascara because that brush is really similar. And so I tried it, and it was a very thin formula in that video. And honestly, I was okay, I maybe just need to let it thicken up a little bit. Maybe it'll give me more of that false lash look once it's thickened up a little bit. If you aren't familiar with the brand as well, they are the sister to Essence, which they produce one of my favorite mascaras, which is the Essence Lash Princess False Effect Mascara. So I'm oh, maybe this is a really good, alternative to that mascara. Trying Catrice, might as well try this mascara. It's certainly not the best mascara I've ever used. When it advertises that it is a false lash, that it is blacker than black, I expect my lashes to be super volumized, lengthened, looking like false lashes, like what they do today, what they do when I wear the Essence, Lash Princess False Effect Mascara. I expect it to hold up to the name of false lash. I want my lashes to look fake. I want them to look like I may be wearing, maybe some, flutters of fake eyelashes on my eyes, but it's just a mascara. And this mascara did not hold up to that at all. It is very thin in consistency. While I see length with my eyelashes, I don't see any type of volume with it at all. And I also find that it's just lackluster, more or less, than anything. I think it's an okay mascara, but if you're looking for a false lash mascara, this definitely is not it. Natasha Denona released this palette in 2024. It is the Hyper Natural Face Palette. You guys can see I actually have a lot of wear and a lot of use out of it. Not to say that this is a bad product, so let's just kind of point that out, but I put it in the worst of beauty of 2024 because I have some major critiques about this palette that it really made it stick out as it not being the best launch of 2024. It really was just kind of rushed, let's talk about this palette. So this is actually a $69 palette that's supposed to do all in one. You have bronzers, you have blushes, and then you have 5 eyeshadows down here that are supposed to be this hybrid formula of gel to powder, cream to powder consistency. She called it gel to powder to kind of market it better. When I first saw that this was being launched, I was oh, that's a really revolutionary idea. Powder, blush, and then you have eyeshadows all in one place. And I was oh, that's a really good marketing move from them, because a lot of people have been doing like no makeup looks, and she created these eyeshadows specifically to be like one and done shades, very natural, very neutral, and you know, just a splash of makeup on your face. When this got released and I received it in the mail, I looked at it and I was like, how am I supposed to fit my brushes in this? How am I supposed to fit my brushes in the bronzer? How am I supposed to, I mean, the blush is a little bit better, but like, how am I supposed to fit a brush in these teeny tiny pan sizes, especially in the bronzer when it's supposed to be bronzer and contour all in one? And there are some makeup brands out there that make like more detail-oriented makeup brushes. I used my Singe brushes a lot when using this palette. They're very tiny pans. Like it doesn't work the way that I expected it to. Honestly, when I found myself dipping into this, I would just like swirl my brush in and I would get like a mixture of all the bronzers and then I would put it all over my face and it would end up looking pretty okay because it wasn't too dark, it wasn't too light. It ended up being like a pretty good match for my skin. With that being said though, I feel like this palette is very, like it's missing something when it comes to skin tones and skin ranges, because this is supposed to be for every single skin tone known to man. This is not made for every skin tone known to man. This is the only version of this palette that you can find. And she didn't do like a light, medium, dark version. She did one version of this palette. And it just, to me, really made me think and wonder like, okay, this is supposed to work on everybody's skin tone. I think that if you're somebody who is super pasty pale like me, or even just a little bit darker than me, it will work for you. But if you are somebody who has more of a tan skin tone, if you're somebody with a deeper skin tone, this is not going to work for you. I truly feel like the blush, this blush in particular, is going to look very ashy on somebody's skin. The bronzers are not deep enough for like a deeper skin tone. And they're also, some of them are like more warm toned in here. And it's just not a good combination for somebody who has a deeper skin tone. Somebody like me who's pasty pale, it'll work on you, but it's not going to work on somebody else. I do like these eyeshadows in here. I think they're really pretty and really fun to wear. So in certain instances, I would actually use this shade as more of like a blush lighter type shade. Sometimes I would use this as like a sparkly highlight on my face. So it was like a one and done type of eyeshadow palette. I did have a lot of fun using it, but in regards to how usable it is, it's not very usable for everybody. It's usable for like somebody who's ghost white like me. And I truly feel like Natasha could have gone so many steps more and really like put some more thought into this palette. And honestly, if I had been the one designing it, I would have made this in a light, medium, dark variation, only done 2 sets of bronzers, 1 blush, and then obviously you have light, medium, and dark. And then you have the eyeshadows in here too that are going to show up on different skin tones. I would be more appreciative of that, but this, yeah, it's a good travel palette for somebody who's super pasty pale, but it's not all inclusive. And I put it in the worst of beauty because not that the quality is bad, but just the concept behind it is not great. And I just don't feel like it was completely thought out. Yes, I love Natasha Denona. I love her formula. This does work for me. It's not going to work for other people though. So that's why it's in my worst list of 2024. Because of that very instance right there. It just doesn't feel like it was thought out a lot. I did a full review on this highlighter, actually the whole collection. It's the Little Mermaid collection from Sigma Beauty. The whole PR box was actually sent to me and I did a full review of this collection. And I'm not saying that this is bad by any means at all. It just didn't meet my expectations the way that I expected it to. I have quite a few highlights from Sigma Beauty. They're the kind that are like very smooth. You can build them up. They can be very like bright and beautiful. They're not lackluster. They are such a good formula that you get a really beautiful highlighted look on your face. You can diffuse it out. You can make it look streaky. I found that the Little Mermaid seashell highlight, it just didn't perform the way that I expected it to. It is really cool because it is almost like a duochrome type of highlight. It is like a purple pink shift in it. But one thing that I really found with this highlight is that when you apply it with a brush, it just doesn't work. It isn't as like powerful and as impactful as what I expected it to be. it doesn't have that oomph that I wanted. I don't know if they designed it like that so it would be a little bit more subtle on the face, but like when I have a duochrome highlight, I want it to be more impactful, more dimensional on the face, and I want to be able to see that it's on my face. Like I want to be able to do that. If I want to do a little bit of a buildup of it, I want to be able to do that too. And I just felt that this particular highlight, it's not bad, but don't expect it to be like Beam Me Up Scotty with the way that it's formulated. It's just very subtle. And I think that's what disappointed me the most about this highlight. Not to say that it's bad, but it disappointed me more than anything, I would say. All right, I have a brow gel. I don't know where it is because this is one of those products that obviously it's on the worst of beauty, and this is deserving of being on the worst of beauty. The Essence Clear Brow Gel. I tested this in a full face of new makeup, and when I put it on, it was like, okay, if you want your eyebrows to just be wet all day long, then this is the eyebrow gel for you. It does not do anything for my eyebrows at all. It is just a super wet formula, and it doesn't dry down like at all. Like I gave it like 5 minutes to dry down thinking like, oh, you know, it'll be dry by now. I start applying my eyeshadow and this eyebrow gel was still wet, and it got like all over my face. It was like crusting around my eyebrows. Like it just did not work the way that I thought it was going to. A lot of other eyebrow gels that are clear that I use, like one of my favorites is Kosas. They have a Kosas clear eyebrow gel. That one dries down like almost instantly. It feels like I put like hairspray through my eyebrows and they don't move. The Essence Clear Brow Gel, my eyebrows were so wet. They didn't dry down, and it just was like really, really, like it was so bad. And that is one that I would not recommend. Good thing it's an affordable like drugstore option, but it is not a good product at all. It just did not work for me. It was too wet. It was just so bad. Guys, don't buy it. Like when I say that I went from like, you know, not so bad to like really, really bad, that was really, really bad. This eyeshadow palette, this one, this is a Ulta Beauty eyeshadow palette that I received when you made a 1950 purchase. You got it for free. And this came in that whole like beauty bag. Good thing it was free. That's all I got is like, good thing it was free and I didn't spend my money on it. I ended up buying, I really like buying their candles, the Ulta Beauty Collection candles, because they're soy candles and they smell amazing. And that's how I got the free beauty bag. And in that beauty bag came this eyeshadow palette. I also did that in a new makeup and like trying new makeup video. I know that Ulta recently like rebranded, they changed their packaging. I also thought that they had changed their formulations. And I don't think that they did. Honestly, it's something I need to research a little bit more. But in any case, I thought that they had reformulated their eyeshadows because their eyeshadows used to be very like, they're not opaque. They're just very, what is the opposite? Translucent. They're very translucent. They don't build up on the face. They don't build up at all. Like they were just no pigment, no anything in their former eyeshadows. And then I got this one. I was like, oh, maybe they reformulated because like a lot of their packaging is new. No. This eyeshadow is not good at all. It was very translucent all across the lid. I found that like even the foil shades, like their foil shades used to be decent. These ones, they just don't have any kind of like reflectiveness when you put them on the eye. They don't look good at all. They're super dry. I put this shade on my eye, which is more of that like goldy shade. Put this shade on my eye in combination with some of these other matte shades, even the dark matte shade, which didn't build up at all. Like it wasn't there. But these are like super dry. They don't build up on the eye. They don't look pretty on the eye. You would think that like with a foil shade, it would be a little bit creamier, that it would build up better, that it would be, you know, with a good foil formula. Usually you can get like a really nice eyeshadow look if the formula is really good in the foils, and these were just very, they weren't shiny, they weren't foily. So I ended up putting on some like other eyeshadow toppers to kind of like finish off the makeup look, but it just did not look good by any means at all. And I ended up putting this shade, Meteorite, I believe, from Terra Moons all over my lid as well. And it really just amped up the makeup look. But this eyeshadow palette, not good at all. If the rest of their eyeshadow formula is like this, do not recommend. Do not recommend at all. Now, the last one that I do have on my worst of beauty is the Urban Decay Face Bond Foundation. I did a wear test with it. It was not sponsored in any way, and I will try and link that video for you guys in the eye. And I do have a whole foundation playlist if you guys want to go check that out. So I tried the Urban Decay Face Bond Foundation. It is said to be this all-in-one revolutionary product where you don't have to powder or set it or anything like that. Like, you just put it on and it's self-setting. So I follow the directions. I put it on the way that it said, and hello, Cake City, all over my face, like Cake City, just everywhere. I also found that it was settling into a lot of fine lines that, like, I didn't know I had. Like, it was just like creasing all over my face like crazy. And it was also creasing in my forehead. It just did not look good as it was worn throughout the day. It was separating, it was cakey, it was greasy. It was just not a good foundation for me. I tried making it work a couple of times with different primers, and the end result still happened. My face looked old, it looked aged, I looked cakey. It just was not a good product by any means at all, and I 100% do not recommend. My skin is typically pretty balanced depending on the season, and when I tried it, my skin was pretty balanced, so it wasn't like overly oily, it wasn't too dry, so it was like perfectly balanced, and I had a lot of problems with it. And for me, if my skin is perfectly balanced and it's still not working well, it's not the foundation for me. I've heard a lot of people say that for people who are a little bit more oily, it does work for them. I don't have oily skin. I tend to get a little bit more oily when the months are warmer out because I'm producing more oil because I'm sweating and all that kind of stuff. You know, in the colder months, my skin tends to get a little bit more dry. And then in spring and in fall, my skin is pretty balanced, and I can keep my skin pretty balanced. So it really depends on the season because I get all four in upstate New York where I live. And this foundation was just awful. It was Cake City. Just do not recommend it all. I am 35 years old. I do have some fine lines. I have some wrinkles, but typically when I wear a foundation, like the one that I'm wearing today, it doesn't look Cake City all over my face. And that one was just so bad. So 100% do not recommend the Urban Decay Face Bond. Not good. I actually know that they came out with one with SPF or something. Like, they came out with another variation of it, but it doesn't work for me. Okay, let's move into the best of beauty from 2024. These are primarily new releases, I believe, in 2024. And I wanted to start out with primer. I have the Catrice Aqua Splash Grip Primer. This is a hydrating gripping primer. So it works really, really similarly to my OG, my go-to, my favorite primer, the e.l.f. Power Gripping Primer. It is a gripping primer, but it also is a hydrating primer because it has ingredients in it like hyaluronic acid. I believe it also has like squalene in it. Oh, it has glycerin in it. It's supposed to refresh, hydrate, and create a gripping formulation on your face. And honestly, I couldn't put it down in 2024. I tried it in the later half of 2024 as a part of that Catrice video where I tried a whole bunch of new Catrice makeup, and I couldn't put down the Power Grip, this Aqua Splash Grip Primer. Like, you can see, I've used so much of it. Like, there's been so much that has been used out of this because I just couldn't put it down in 2024. It was also in my like most used series, but this was such a good release of 2024. And I think Catrice really nailed it because it really provides those hydrating benefits, but also the gripping benefits. And it grips really, really good, and it holds on to your makeup. And like, it is so good. Honestly, I think it's better than the e.l.f. Power Gripping Primer. Like, I didn't just say that. 2 foundations in 2024 that were the best releases, the best new form. Like, one was a reformulation, and it was the L'Oreal Infallible 32-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. I did a full day wear test on it. I think I did a 3-day wear test on this, actually. And this foundation, I just could not believe how much the formulation had changed from the 24-hour to the 32-hour fresh wear. I found this one to be a lot more serum-y. It goes on your skin just so beautifully, and it blends out to this very beautiful airbrushed quality. And with the vitamin C that is included in it, it also provides some like skin loving ingredients that just really like brightens your face and makes it look more refreshed, more brightened, more youthful. It doesn't settle into any of my fine lines, my wrinkles. Like, I had no problems with this at all. I loved this foundation so much. I think the reformulation of this with the 32 hour, with the vitamin C, such a good formulation. And I think they did an excellent job recreating this foundation. I think they made it a million times better. I did not like the 24-hour fresh wear. It looked cakey. It looked like it just didn't wear down very well on me. And this formulation, whatever they did to it, they just made it like chef's kiss. So good. I could not get enough of it. And it was literally one of the best reformulations that L'Oreal has ever done, besides the True Match. The True Match was another really good formulation, but that wasn't done in 2024. Honestly, I could speak volumes about the reformulation of the L'Oreal 32-hour fresh wear, like all day long, but I will try and link for you guys the full day wear test so you guys can go see it. But honestly, that was one of my most used foundations of 2024, but I think the formulation change was one of the best of 2024 and one of the best re-releases. It was like, a lot of people didn't know that it was reformulated. And it was kind of one of those things that it was done under the radar. L'Oreal did not promote it. They didn't say anything about it. And all of a sudden I'm seeing it all over trend pages that like it's been reformulated. And I knew as soon as I found my shade and it was in the new reformulation, I had to try it. And I'm so glad that I did. It was so good. And I think it was definitely like a hidden secret that they reformulated, but they did a really good job reformulating. And I definitely think it was one of the best products of 2024 that was re-released, relaunched. And another formulation that was a new launch in 2024 was the Sigma Skin Perfector Hydrator Tint. Oh my gosh, this is like the skin tint of my dreams. It is so beautiful. It is just very skin loving. It makes my skin look just so juicy and beautiful and youthful and fresh and bright. It does have hyaluronic acid in it. It has vitamin E in it, which vitamin E is actually really, really good for scars. If you didn't know that, vitamin E can actually heal scars and it heals wounds and it can get rid of scars and it can get rid of like any kind of deep penetrating scars that you have. That's what vitamin E can do. It also has squalene in it, and it also has niacinamide, which also evens out your skin tone. So this has a lot of skin loving skincare ingredients in it, but it's in a skin tint. And this was like, this is like the skin tint of my dreams. It creates a medium coverage. My skin looked so juicy and so beautiful and just so like effortless, I think is the best term to put it in. I did do a foundation review of this one too, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I think it's so good, and I think it was one of the best releases of 2024. Obviously, for bronzer, this new release in 2024 completely, like, it blew me away, and it was the Butter Glow Contour Wand from Physicians Formula. You put this on, you blend it out, and it blends out so beautifully on the face. It comes in different shades, but the one that I have is the fair shade, so it really works well with my skin tone. It doesn't have anything that's too like reddish leaning. It's kind of like this it's almost like neutral leaning, because it's not too cool toned, it's not too warm toned, it's very like neutral leaning, and it does provide this beautiful glowy look to your makeup when you put it on, and it is a very like contouring beauty wand. It does have that, you know, go-to powder, like that puff wand that you see everybody coming out with, but honestly, I think that this formulation is absolutely stunning. It blends out so beautifully all over your face, like when you're trying to contour or bronze with it. It layers really nicely with a lot of the other makeup on your face. It doesn't strip anything away. And it was such a good formulation from Physicians Formula. Best contour wand. So good. So good. And it reminds me of the Flower Beauty contour wands that they came out with, and those ones just didn't work at all. This is what those Flower Beauty wands were supposed to be. It was supposed to be like this. And, you know, Physicians Formula really took it to the next level, and they made a really beautiful product. The bronzer that takes the prize for Best of Beauty in 2024 is this one, the NYX Buttermelt Bronzer. This is in the shade All Butted Up. I'm actually wearing it. I'm wearing it today. And I was actually kind of surprised that I would like this bronzer so much. I do find that it has a little bit of like luminous in it, so it's a little bit luminized. It does have more of a rosy tone to it. I honestly thought it was going to be really, really similar to the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer that I absolutely love. But I found that this skin tone is a little bit more rosy, but it provides this really nice, like sun-kissed look that I really was enjoying a lot in 2024. And this was an affordable option. It honestly reminds me of some of my like higher end bronzers that have those like luminescence in it, and it blends out like a dream and you don't have any problems with it, but it came at a drugstore price tag. And honestly, it's a really good bronzer. It actually these two pair really nicely together to give you a really nice like contoured bronzery effect to your makeup. And it's so good. Now I have 3 in the blush category. 1, 2, 3. Let's do the liquid blush first. This is the L'Oreal Lumi Le Liquid Blush. They had a matte formulation and like a glowy formulation. I think I have the dewy formulation and it's called Bright Pink. So this comes in a doe foot applicator, and this is just like such a beautiful formulation that like, I think this is another one of those formulations that really got like, it was like one of those hidden discoveries that I found in 2024 because not a lot of people were talking about them. They blend out beautifully. They are super pigmented. Like the dewy version is like a beautiful dewy blush, but not too like over the top dewy. And it really just gives you this like lit from within glow. I wear this blush and I pair it with like a really pretty peach highlight, and it just looks so pretty on the skin. It doesn't mess with any of the product underneath, so like it won't mess with your setting powder or your foundation. It layers really nicely. It dries down so beautifully, like you can see here. It's just a beautiful formulation, and I really truly feel like this was one of those like lost discoveries of 2024. It was released in 2024. It's one of the best liquid blushes I've ever used. One of my most used blushes of 2024 was the Peach Pop blush from Charlotte Tilbury. And the formulation of the L'Oreal Lumi liquid blushes is really, really similar to the Charlotte Tilbury, but it comes in that doe foot applicator instead of like the puff that we see everywhere. Powder blush products, the best of beauty. In my humble opinion, I loved the Buttermelt blushes, specifically in the shade You Know Butter. This one is actually kind of that peachish shade that was really trending in 2024 because Peach Fuzz was like the official color of 2024. And honestly, the entire formulation of these blushes is very smooth and blendable and buildable. I actually have a couple of these shades, but I definitely loved this shade in particular because it was just perfect for those moments when I wanted to be a little bit more like it's a super pigmented blush, but it is a very like luminescent blush, as you can see. And it kind of reminds me of the NARS Orgasm blush, the way that it has this like yellow luminizer in it. And I think that's why I liked this specific shade so much. I think that's why I liked that shade so much from the whole butter, blush lines, because it just has this like beautiful luminescent look to it. And it looks like your skin, but better. It builds up nicely. It doesn't over texturize. It's just such a good blush. And then my other favorite, and I think is awarded the best of beauty for 2024, would have to be the Singe Beauty Evocative Silk Blushes. I have 2 of the shades. I have Riveting Rhubarb on my face, which is also this is a very peachy shade. It has it's so hard to describe this blush because it's like a satin formulation, super pigmented. Oh my gosh, like all these blushes are all like the same tone. Super pigmented though. A satin blush that just builds up and looks very effortless on the skin. It doesn't texturize at all. Timid Tomato is the other shade that is like my 1000% favorite shade. It's like a burnt red shade, and it is so pretty right now in the months that we're in, winter, looking more flushed, looking more like burnt. Like the cold girl look, like that's what it reminds me of. And I love the Timid Tomato shade. So I do have 2 of these. They are so good. They retail for actually a really good price. They're $18 on Singe Beauty, and Singe Beauty is the brand by Angelica Nyqvist. They're just this silky formula that's very luminescent on the skin. One of the best releases of 2024, by far. The Silk Evocative blushes, they are so good. Now it's time to talk about the best eyeshadow releases, the best of beauty, in my humble opinion, from 2024 for eyeshadow palettes. I have 2 eyeshadow palettes that I think were some of the best releases, best of beauty for 2024. Some of them, so I did receive some eyeshadow palettes at the very end of 2024. And those are really, really good, but I haven't done any kind of like review on those yet. Like I received the Blood Moon that was in a shorts. I also received the Singe Beauty Galactic Visitor one. Those were 2024 releases, but they are not going to be included in this video because they were right at the end of 2024. So they're not going to be included in this video at all. But honestly, I would have to say that the best of beauty for eyeshadow palettes, like the award, if I were to give it, would be to these two eyeshadow palettes right here. I am a huge fan of the Huda Beauty Icy Nude. I did like a full review of this eyeshadow palette. I did multiple looks with this eyeshadow palette. This went with me to Las Vegas because I just love this color story so much. I actually used this a lot at the end of 2024, and I think it's one of the best releases of 2024 because it really encompassed the whole icy girl makeup look that's really, like, that was so trendy for the end of 2024, and it's also going into, you know, what we're in right now, which is 2025. But this has cool tones. It has some like mauve shades in here. It also had like a beautiful like foil shimmery formula that like I just couldn't get enough of. It also had this gorgeous shade in here called Diamond Dew that like you put this on the skin, like on your eye, and it just literally like sprinkles your eye with glittery flecks, and it looks, and it reminded me of like new fallen snow all over my eyes. So one of my like go-to looks at the end of 2024 would be to do just a neutral in the crease, Diamond Dew all over my lid, and a red lip, and I was like holiday ready. Like that's how much I loved this palette. It went to Las Vegas with me. It got so much use out of it, like so much use, because it has cool toned mattes that are super blendable, super pigmented, really easy to use. It had some like deeper shades in here that I could use for winged liner. It had some lighter shades in here. I really liked using these two shades in particular because they brighten up the eye really, really nicely, and they just create this really nice like bright inner corner. Or if you want to do like a bright white lid, you can do that as well. So like if I just place the white on the inner corner and use just a little bit of that white, it really just like brightens things up. It makes it look just a little bit more put together. And I would do it like this with a matte inner corner, or I would put it all over the lid and then sprinkle some of this like iridescent shade in here. Like such a good release from Huda Beauty. It is apparently her last big palette. I hope not, because I love Huda Beauty. I love her formulations. I hope not. I hope it's not. And then we also have the Natasha Denona Rocha palette. I did a full video on this. I did swatch comparisons with this, and this got a lot of love, like a lot of love. This is actually going to be pulled out for like the Valentine's months because it is purples, it's pinks. And I really enjoyed this palette because I truly feel like purples for me are easily translated like into more neutral looks for me. Like I have a really easy time coming up with purple eyeshadow looks with my eyes, and it makes my green eyes like really pop because purple really, it just does something to green eyes. And this eyeshadow palette, I just love how it had that wet formulation. It had a really nice matte formulation in here. Lots of really good purples to choose from. And honestly, I don't mind the pinks in this palette. I think that the pinks bring it all together, and it gives you kind of more of a rounded look where you can do purple or you can do a pink look, and you can do like lighter purpley pink looks. You can do darker looks. You can do very dramatic looks like purple smoky eyes that translate kind of neutral. Like I really like this palette because it's really easy to get clean everyday looks with it. Purple is not, to me, like enough, like it's not one of those like super bright colors. Like you can wear it every day. Very easy for me. Like I just love purple eyeshadow. It's like the eyeshadow that I love to wear when I want to wear like color on my eyes, but I don't want to be too over the top. Purple eyeshadow, guys. Like that's what I wear. But honestly, I think this was one of the best releases from Natasha Denona. I think she did such an amazing job with this palette. I love the color story. I love the blendability of all of the shades in here. I love that it had a little bit of like pink thrown into it. I think this was a really good release of 2024. Okay. There you have it, my best and worst of beauty in 2024. If you guys haven't already, please consider subscribing before you go, and I hope I get to see you in my next video. Bye!